of a system that is very dysregulated. It's almost like your body's producing depression to cue you into something going on deeper.
Wow. I have never heard it explained that way before.
Does it make sense?
It does make sense. I've never thought of that. It's never
and most people don't.
Yeah.
Most people don't. They're like, depression is the problem. Well, actually, no.
Yeah.
Depression, anxiety, all of these health issues that have been thrown medication at, they're actually symptoms of something inherently dysregulated in your system.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say inherent because that makes it seem as though it's something wrong with you, which it isn't the case. It is inherent in our culture that we are dysregulated because of our high stress lives, the toxicity of our environments, the chronic stress, and the lack of effective release of chronic stress, which builds up in our system and creates almost like a poison. It creates wear and tear on the body. And then we have symptom expression of depression, anxiety, chronic fatigue, etc., that are showing us that that is the case.
Yeah.
And that's where my coaching goes to.
Yeah, no, I love that. Like I said, I've never heard of it explained like that before. And I think it makes absolute sense. So how do you, when you talk about meditation, what types of meditation do you do that you would try to teach other people to help them get through all this?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I want to preface this by saying that meditation and mindfulness over the last probably 10 to 15 years have become the new panacea, like the new buzzword of this will cure everything. And it has a really important place in helping people to move and to deal with what they're experiencing. But I preface that by saying it is not always going to be in a person's best interest to do mindfulness or meditation. It's going to depend on where they are in terms of their system dysregulation, because for some people, the idea of sitting still for 10 minutes will drive them insane.
Yeah.
Like the amount of people I've tried to, in the past, tried to do meditation with, they're like, I can't do it. I'm like, well, you're not trying hard enough. Just sit there for a bit longer and it'll happen. But it doesn't. They are so dysregulated. Their thoughts are racing. They can't sit still. They literally can't do meditation until they regulate their system. So until they get to a point where they feel as though they can sit still for 2 minutes or 3 minutes without their mind racing to a million different other things, that's when meditation and mindfulness become really powerful tools. So I do use mindfulness and meditation to help people to ground in the now. But it's not just grounding in the now. I use them really specifically, particularly mindfulness. And you've probably heard of the term grounding. Have you heard of the term grounding?
Yes.
Where they tell you to feel yourself sitting on the ground or sitting in a chair. Take notice of what's going on around you. Feel the clothing on your skin. So this idea of grounding is a really lovely tool that I use, but I use it in a slightly different way. So for most psychologists, we're taught to use grounding to get people out of overwhelm, right? So if you're finding your mind is racing, if you're finding that you're feeling overwhelmed, ground into the present moment. The present moment's the only thing you've got. Be here now, all of those other lovely slogans. But I slightly tweak grounding. And the way that I tweak it is that, particularly in somatic therapy, so the body-based therapies, we use the word orienting. And orienting means to basically take stock of what's happening around you. Feel yourself here now, what's going on in your environment, smell the smells, see the sights. And the reason behind that is to actually help your survival brain figure out that it is safe. So by orienting to my surroundings, what I'm telling the survival part of my brain, which is the limbic system, I'm telling them, I'm looking around, there's no saber-tooth tiger around me. There's no immediate threat that's going to kill me. Okay, you mean I'm safe? Great, I can actually relax now. So it's more than just being in the present moment. It is so much more than that. It is actually cueing in our survival brain that we are safe Therefore, you can relax and stop trying to detect threat that isn't there.
Wow.
And when we do that, that basically gives us back access to our frontal lobe, which is the front part of our brain, which is where things like decision making, intuition, empathy, being able to write out lists and follow through, all of that stuff happens in our frontal lobe, but it goes offline when we are in overwhelm or in our limbic system threat detection part of our brain. So grounding, mindfulness, meditation there, super important for that.
That's amazing. No, I think we need to really, we really need to think about those things, because it can make such a difference in your life if you take part in that. But again, I was just like you had said, there's some people that just cannot sit still. They just get so anxious, so they need to go back and work on the other stuff first. So that makes complete sense.
Yes. Yes.
So how do you feel you are in your life now that you have gone through all those, all the therapy sessions that didn't work, but then you got into the clinical psychology and the coaching and all that. So how do you feel you are now in your life? Are you in that space where you have not figured it all out, but you've moved forward a lot since then?
Absolutely. And I hope to God I haven't figured it all out, because that means it's the end of the road. Right. And that takes all of the excitement out. And I certainly don't. And what I actually see myself now as being more human. I now realize and can connect so much deeper to my experience. And now I have tools that actually work for me. And I think for me, that has been a real game changer, because what it's allowed me to do is move from, so I have a scale, and it's basically like, if you imagine a scale where 0 is your middle point, and you have -5 on one end of the extreme and +5 on the other end of the extreme. And when we go into therapy, we're usually somewhere in the negatives, like we're like a -5, -4, can't get out of bed, having a lot of trouble doing stuff, functioning in normal life, getting to work, rah, rah, rah. And what normal therapy or traditional therapy does is get us back to 0. And so 0 is functioning. Mm-hmm. But we don't ever really venture into the positives, the +5, where life feels easy, where life feels like we are living life. Life is not living us. Yeah. That we're like, instead of just getting up in the morning and ticking the boxes, we actually have choice on what our life looks like. And we're not afraid to step into it. And I feel like that has been the biggest part of my journey in most recent times, is moving myself from 0 into the pluses. So I'm not always at a +5, but bloody hell, I'm spending a lot more time in the positives than I was a few years ago. That's for sure.
That's amazing.
And that's because I have these skills now that allow me to work differently with the experiences that I'm having. Instead of just trying to talk myself out of them or positive think my way out of them, which doesn't work, and most people would realize that it doesn't work. I now have tools that I can regulate my system. So when these things come up, like going on a podcast that a few years ago would have brought up so much anxiety in me, that I would have just avoided it. Like that would have been my coping strategy. No thanks, not for me, not yet. I'm not ready, too hard. I don't have enough to say. People won't believe me. It's going to be boring. Now, when the anxiety comes up, which is a very normal response to something new that we haven't experienced before, that's stretching us in our comfort zone, now I can help my system regulate. So just enough that I can now take on that thing that's pushing me out of my comfort zone. Gay Hendricks, I don't know if you've heard of him, he's got that lovely book, and now for the life of me, I can't remember what it's called, The Big Leap, where he talks about pushing ourselves out of our tiny, tiny fish bowls into the bigger fish bowl, pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone. And +5 is all about challenging ourselves. But we have to be able to regulate our system so that we can effectively move through those challenges, right? because these things that we want to do in life scare us. Because we don't want to fail, we don't want to look like an idiot, we don't want to waste money, we don't want to lose friends, like whatever it might be. The system dysregulation that comes up, that anxiety comes up, and then the story that create around it that I can never do that. If we can regulate that, then we can start taking on those challenges. Then we can start doing these podcasts, doing the things that have always felt bigger than us. And I think for me, that has been, over the last couple of years, the best part of my journey. Because I'm not saying that I'm free from fear now, or that my system is like always zen. It's definitely not. Absolutely not. But now I know how to work with my system so that it isn't always in chaos.
That's amazing and so important. Oh my gosh. Like I wish we would have had you 10 years ago. but I know that in order to be here now, we had to go through those things.
Absolutely.
So it's like a catch-22. We wish we would have had that, but now it's just, it all comes back full circle. But what advice would you give to those who feel like nothing's working? I can't, therapy isn't working. I keep seeing all these different people. What can you tell them that gives them that hope that yes, you can get here. You can get to this place because I've done it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, firstly, I would say, if you knew me, if you knew my life story, I am a poster child of adversity. Like I have significant traumas through my childhood, and I continue to experience trauma throughout my life. I have probably undiagnosed mental health issues, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, migraines, you name it. I've sort of got that list. And so I'm not coming at this from a place of, I'm a guru, but I've never experienced any of the things that you have. So you should look up to me because I'm, the perfect. I'm certainly not.
Right.
I am messy. I'm complicated. And I think that's how most people feel, messy and complicated, right?
Right.
Like if I was a Facebook status, I would be in a relationship. It's complicated. That's my relationship with myself. It's complicated. And what I would say to people is there is no panacea out there, although we have been led to believe, and we will continue to be sold through advertising and marketing that this is the thing you've been waiting for your whole life. This is that thing. If you just buy this car or eat this food or take this drug or work with this person, it will all magically be better. And what I'm here to tell you is that is not the case. But the one thing that you have that I implore you to listen to and to tap into is your intuition. Because those questions of surely it's got to be better than this, and I don't feel right in my body, in my mind, in my emotions, I don't feel right. I can't necessarily tell you exactly what that is or what that means or what my experience is, but something in me is going, alarm bells, something's not right here. And what I would implore you to do is listen to the intuition. Listen to the intuition if you buy into that marketing and you buy that thing, listen to the intuition of, is this actually working for me? Or am I just hoping that it is?
Yeah.
Because that is the one thing that we have that is almost like a detection system for breadcrumbs. It allows us to pick up the breadcrumbs of where do I go next. So I can start to see, oh, okay, well, there's a breadcrumb over there. This didn't work, but I'm starting to sort of listen to myself a little bit more that I know that there's something else to life. And, oh, that seems interesting over there. I'm going to follow that breadcrumb over there. And then that breadcrumb leads to the next one and to the next one. And all of these experiences continue then to shape our journey, to shape how we are in that moment of our life, in that moment of time.